Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into the fog-draped streets of 1919 Birmingham to uncover the story of one of television's most iconic figures, Thomas Shelby. This isn't just about a gangster. It's about the rise of an empire built from mud, blood, and sheer force of will. The story begins in the aftermath of World War I. The world is broken, and so are the men who fought in it. Thomas Shelby, a decorated war hero, returns to a city drowning in poverty and violence. He leads a small-time street gang, the Peaky Blinders, known for the razor blades sewn into the peaks of their caps. In the beginning, their game is small: illegal betting, protection rackets, and controlling their grimy corner of the city. But Tommy Shelby is different. His mind never truly left the trenches, and that brutal experience forged a new kind of ambition in him. He doesn't just see the world as it is. He sees what it could be. The turning point comes early. A crate of military-grade weapons, stolen from the local factory, accidentally falls into Tommy's hands. For anyone else, this would be a death sentence, a problem to get rid of immediately. But for Tommy, it's a golden ticket. This single moment defines his entire character. He doesn't think small. He sees this mistake not as a danger, but as leverage, a way to catapult his family from the backstreets to the corridors of power. This is our first glimpse into his genius, turning chaos into opportunity. From this point on, Tommy begins his relentless climb. He's not just a brawler, he's a master strategist. His primary adversary in the early seasons is Chief Inspector Campbell, a ruthless policeman sent by Winston Churchill himself to retrieve the stolen guns. Their conflict becomes a chess match, a war of minds. This is where we see Tommy's greatest weapon isn't the razor in his cap, but his uncanny ability to read people. He studies them, finds their weaknesses, their fears, their secret desires, and he exploits them with surgical precision. He doesn't just defeat his enemies. He psychologically dismantles them. He outmaneuvers rival gangs, corrupt officials, and even the crown, proving that intelligence and patience are far more deadly than brute force. But behind the cold, calculating exterior is a man at war with himself. Thomas Shelby is haunted. He suffers from severe PTSD, a souvenir from his time digging tunnels in France. He's plagued by insomnia, nightmares, and a profound emotional numbness. We see flashes of the man he could have been, the man who existed before the war, but that man is buried deep. His family, the Shelbys Arthur, John, Polly, are both his strength and his burden. He fights to elevate them, to give them a life of legitimacy, but his methods drag them deeper into the darkness. Then Grace Burgess enters his life. She's a beautiful singer with a secret, an undercover agent working for Campbell. For Tommy, love represents both a chance at redemption and a catastrophic vulnerability. With Grace, we see a side of him he keeps locked away, a flicker of warmth, a longing for peace. He allows himself to feel, to connect, and for a moment, it seems like he might find an escape from the hell inside his own head. But her betrayal shatters that hope. It's a devastating blow that reinforces his deepest, most cynical belief, that attachment is a weakness and love is a liability in his world. This heartbreak hardens him further, solidifying the emotional armor he wears. By the end of Season 3, the transformation is staggering. The Peaky Blinders are no longer a small street gang. They are an international criminal enterprise with global reach. Tommy has traded his cap for a tailored suit and his smoky pub for a grand country estate. He has wealth, power, and influence beyond his wildest dreams. He's dining with aristocrats and making deals with the government. On the surface, he has won. He has achieved everything he set out to do. But the higher you climb, the further you have to fall. Power has a price. With every victory comes a new, more dangerous enemy. The world he has built is a fortress of paranoia. He can't trust anyone. The moral lines he once drew have been erased, smudged away by one necessary evil after another. He has protected his family by putting them in more danger than ever before. In the shocking finale of Season 3, in a single brutal act of self-preservation, he has his entire family arrested, proving that his ambition now eclipses everything else. He has become a king on a throne of isolation, the master of a kingdom he can't enjoy, forever looking over his shoulder. So, what makes Thomas Shelby such a compelling character? He's not driven by simple greed. He's driven by a desperate need for control in a world that once made him completely powerless in the trenches of France. He's driven by a fierce, almost self-destructive desire to protect his family, even if his protection feels like a cage. And beneath it all, there's an unspoken wish for a peace he knows he can never achieve. He is a paradox, calm, strategic, and terrifyingly patient, yet fueled by a silent, burning rage. His greatest strength, his emotional suppression, his belief that he must carry the entire world on his shoulders, is also the poison that is slowly rotting him from the inside. What can we learn from Tommy's rise in these first 3 seasons? First, vision creates power. Tommy rose from nothing because he saw opportunities where everyone else saw dead ends. He was always playing a different game 3 steps ahead of his rivals. He had a clear, unwavering vision for the future, and he bent reality to fit it. Second, emotional control is a weapon. In a world of impulsive, violent men, Tommy's defining trait is his patience. He rarely reacts in the heat of the moment. He waits, he listens, he calculates, and when he finally strikes, it's with devastating precision. He taught us that the quietest man in the room is often the most dangerous. Third, trauma that is ignored becomes destiny. Tommy's refusal or inability to heal his inner wounds dictates his path. Every ruthless decision, every broken relationship, every step further into the darkness can be traced back to the ghosts of the war. He tries to outrun his past, but it's always tethered to him, shaping his present and his future. This serves as a powerful reminder that we can build a healthy future on a foundation of unresolved pain. And finally, love makes leaders vulnerable. Grace was his Achilles heel. Connection gives life meaning. It gives a leader something to fight for beyond power itself. But if it's not balanced, if it's not protected, it can become a fatal weakness. Tommy's journey shows that even the strongest among us are laid bare by the people we let into our hearts. Thomas Shelby's story is a masterclass in ambition, strategy, and the human cost of power. He's a man who clawed his way to the top, only to find himself more alone than ever. But this is only the beginning of his story. The empire is built, but holding it together will demand an even greater price. Seasons 4 through 6 are where the story pivots from a tale of external conquest to one of internal collapse. This is where we truly understand the cost of power. After wiping out his rivals and consolidating his empire, Tommy Shelby ascends to a new battlefield, high society. He's no longer just a gangster from Small Heath. He's rubbing shoulders with aristocrats, politicians, and the most dangerous ideologues of his time. He becomes a member of parliament, believing that if he can gain power within the system, he can finally legitimize the family and secure their safety for good. But this new world is far more treacherous than the back alleys of Birmingham. The rules are different. The enemies are subtler, and the consequences are devastating. The arrival of the New York Mafia, led by the chillingly personal Luca Changretta, marks a turning point. This isn't just business anymore, it's a vendetta. The violence is no longer strategic, it's merciless and intimate. The body count starts to include core members of the Shelby family, and the losses are unbearable. The once unbreakable bond of family begins to fracture under the immense pressure. Trust erodes not just with outsiders but within the inner circle. In response, Tommy's strategies become colder, his heart harder. He isolates himself, shouldering every burden and making every ruthless decision alone. He believes he's protecting his family, but his methods push them further away. As his legitimate and illegitimate empires expand, his psychological state deteriorates. The ghosts of his past, the trenches of World War I, the people he's killed, and most profoundly, his dead wife Grace refused to stay buried. He's haunted by hallucinations. The guilt becomes a physical weight, leading to crippling paranoia and suicidal thoughts. Grace, in particular, becomes a symbol of a life of peace he could have had, a happiness that his ambition made impossible. This brings us to his most complicated and revealing alliance, his partnership with the fascist leader, Oswald Mosley. This is the ultimate contradiction of Thomas Shelby. Here is a man who despises tyranny, a man who fought against oppression, yet he willingly works with the very embodiment of it. Why? For control. He believes he can outsmart Mosley, use the fascists for his own gain, and dismantle them from the inside. But in doing so, he compromises his own soul. He becomes what he hates, blurring the line between fighting monsters and becoming one himself. Each moral compromise chips away at his identity until he can barely recognize the man in the mirror. By the final season, Tommy's world has completely unraveled. He faces betrayal from within his own family, a devastating diagnosis of a terminal illness, and the crushing realization that all the power he has accumulated has brought him nothing but misery. It hasn't protected his loved ones. It hasn't healed his trauma. It has only consumed him. He has built a kingdom, but he's a prisoner within its walls. His greatest enemy was never another gang, the police, or the government. It was his own insatiable ambition, his inability to ever stop fighting. So what can we learn from this tragic descent? The second half of Peaky Blinders offers some profound lessons. First, power does not heal inner wounds. Tommy thought success, money, and influence would silence the screams from his past. Instead, they just amplified them. Success can be a magnifying glass for unresolved trauma. It gives you more to lose and further isolates you from genuine human connection. Second, the pursuit of total control has diminishing returns. The more Thomas tried to control every variable in the outside world, every business deal, every political maneuver, every family member, the less control he had over his own mind. His obsession with external dominance led directly to his internal chaos. True strength isn't about bending the world to your will. Sometimes it's about accepting that you can't. Third, our compromises define us. Tommy made countless small and then large moral sacrifices for what he believed was the greater good of his family, but each compromise changed him. He rationalized his actions, telling himself it was all temporary, a means to an end. But eventually, the means became the man. It's a powerful reminder that who we are is the sum of our choices, especially the difficult ones. And finally, the show teaches us that true freedom comes from self-confrontation. For 6 seasons, Tommy fights enemies. He's always one step ahead, always scheming. But his redemption doesn't come from one last brilliant victory. It comes when he finally lets go. When he believes he has nothing left to lose, he steps away from the game. And in that moment of surrender, he finds clarity. He sees the strings that were being pulled, confronts the lies he was told, and most importantly, confronts himself. Peace isn't found in dominating others. It's found in understanding yourself and knowing when to stop fighting. In the end, Peaky Blinders isn't just a stylish gangster drama. It's a deep meditation on ambition, trauma, and the human cost of unchecked willpower. The journey of Thomas Shelby is a cautionary tale that serves as a powerful final reflection. You can conquer the entire world and still be a prisoner of your own mind. The ultimate battle is always the one within. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the smoke and shadows of the Peaky Blinders. What did you take away from Tommy's story? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this analysis, please give this video a like and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite shows and characters. Thanks for watching.